You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis.
Hey, what's going on, Jer?
Hey, buddy. We're back at it again.
We are back for the 52nd week in a row.
Episode 52. It's unreal. That is just crazy. That's like a year's worth of episodes. If we did one a week.
It really is insane.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. We promise that our episodes are going to be a fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and people that we just find interesting. Ooh. Today, in the third co-host seat, we have an emergency backup replacement co-host, Mr. Chase Peyton.
What up? I'm here.
You literally are here on, this is probably the second shortest amount of notice we've ever given a co-host. Danny Morrell showed up and climbed a fence to get on the show.
I remember that. That was a good
some
episode.
Time ago.
I think that was the very first one.
But this is impressive. Our advertised co-host, Kade Koger, is down with an injury. We're going to violate some HIPAA laws, but apparently his 10-month-old, not his 10-year-old, 10-month-old opened up a can of whoop-ass on him with a jiu-jitsu move and sliced his eye, and hopefully he's seeking medical attention.
Yeah, well, he just commented on the live stream, so hopefully he's in the waiting room of a doctor's office.
At least he can see that we're on here now.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the hot seat, is it the hot seat, Ed? Does it feel hot?
It's pretty comfortable.
We have Ed Tarantino. Ed is here continuing our candidate series. Ed is running for county commissioner here in Henry County. This is the first time you're running for office, right?
Yes, it is.
And that is a Dunreath accent I'm detecting from you. Born and bred in Dunreath, Indiana, I'm sure.
Western Dunreath.
Dunreath.
I was raised in Dunreath, Indiana. So I already have something in common. That's wonderful.
Yeah, no. So you are an import. You've been here longer than probably Dakota and I have been alive combined together. But you've held on to the accent a little bit. You're from New Jersey originally.
New Jersey. The Garden State.
The Garden State.
There's one garden there.
used to be home to the New Jersey Nets.
Yes.
And it is home to the New York Jets and Giants.
And the Jersey Giants at one time.
Yeah.
The Jersey Giants. I didn't know that.
They're gone.
It's also home to Jersey Shore.
Yes, Chase would know that one, of course.
The Jersey Giants sound a lot more interesting than that.
So it has been an interesting week around here. We're gonna interview Ed and talk with him a little bit, but we're gonna kind of cover the local news. Dakota, we noticed over the weekend that on April 1st, April Fool's Day,
yes,
there was a big article in our local paper, the Courier-Times, who has famously covered us. We were a front page story one time in the Courier-Times. They profiled the podcast.
It's right behind Ed.
So April 1st, they ran a story. Thought it was an April Fool's joke about a wild turkey that's been running the streets of Newcastle, and it's been tormenting cars and getting in the way.
So this turkey, it's literally just a wild turkey. Like, looks like you should see it in the woods, and it has been crossing the street between. So in Newcastle, Indiana, there's a cemetery on the east and west side of the main highway that runs north and south through it, and he's been crossing the highway from cemetery to cemetery, and there, like you said, there was the article written by Travis Wyke.
Yep, and then it made news. That article led to at least 2, maybe 3 network stations out of Indianapolis coming to Newcastle and running stories. So then all of your out-of-town friends go, what in the world is going on in your town?
Yep.
And then by Sunday, the turkey had become self-aware, found an iPhone, and it started a Facebook page.
He's a self-aware turkey, like kind of like if we have any Rick and Morty fans that watch this, like whenever the dog became self-aware in the show, but hopefully he's not going to try to take over the town. His Facebook page, he is a little bit sassy though.
Yeah, he He likes to talk in caps locks and is very aggressive against people.
And I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous. He has way too many page likes.
Oh my gosh,
he's got more than Boss Hog of Liberty.
Since Sunday, this thing's got over 800 page
I
likes.
think we might have to take him out.
So when this all started, of course, we are front running fools at Boss Hog of Liberty. So we said we are going to capitalize off this thing. We created a poll and we said, all right, this turkey, people were freaking out on Sunday, and it was either this thing is a treasure for the city and it's got to be kept, or it's going to get somebody killed, it's in the road, and it needs to be run over. So we said, is this our mascot, or is it something that needs to be shot? So Chase, what were the results of our poll?
All right. 355 people voted on this.
355 people took time out of their busy schedules to vote in an internet poll about the future of a wild turkey.
A turkey, yes. And our mascot won by 72%.
72% of the people want to keep the thing.
28% wanted to eliminate it.
Yeah, we put a GIF of Lil Sebastian from Parks and Recreation as the mascot option.
I think that's why it might have won, because if I see something of Lil Sebastian, I'm just going to automatically poke on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody loves Lil Sebastian. Ed, do you have a turkey position, an official turkey position? This is the first tough question of the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast.
I like the turkey. I saw it in the paper. I think he has a great future.
Well, this turkey has been it's had, once again this morning, the Smiley Morning Show, some crap radio out of Indianapolis, but whatever. It's not MS.
I used to love that in high school.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, they ran a story. They had John A. from Newcastle. And then my sister called in to the show. She was on Smiley this morning.
Did she really?
Hannah called in, yeah.
That's awesome.
And she promoted the thing or whatever, saying, hey, you got to check out this Facebook page. She said it has 300 likes. What's that? 800 likes now.
Yep.
But there's been a scare. The last 2 days, there's been a scare. Did the turkey get hit at the end of the day? People thought it was dead. And then today you open up the paper, and it's the front page news.
It's the front page newspaper, and they promoted the Facebook page. Somehow they were able to contact whoever it is that runs the turkey's Facebook page and have them sit down for an interview as the turkey, and it was genius. I was laughing
we should get him
so
on
hard.
the show.
Well, we're trying. We thought we might have a chance to get it to Skype in, but we couldn't get our phone board working. So maybe if the turkey's not dead by next week, maybe we'll try to get it on when we have our show with Ken and Gray. We'll see. Poor guy's running against me, and we're going to make him talk to a turkey on the radio.
Maybe you can just call in.
So, so that's there. And the mayor granted a full pardon. Did you read that in the paper today?
No.
The mayor says the turkey's fine. He answered to the poll. He listened to the will of the people. No word on whether or not the Newcastle high school team is going to change from the Trojans to the Turkeys. That we'll just have to see what happens when we get to the football season later this summer.
Yep.
Not too far out of town, there's probably 15 turkeys in a lady's yard that I know.
In her yard?
In her yard, and she's only about 2 or 3 miles out of town.
Well, I know they use...
Could be one of her lost turkeys.
It could be. I know they use chicken manure to fertilize grass sometimes, so maybe it's really good for her yard.
I know where I'm going hunting now.
Well, it said in the paper, you can't hunt on public ground, but you could on private. So if you go over there, if you get permission from the folks at the cafe where you had one of your events.
Cafe Royal?
Yeah,
Sure.
if you go over to Cafe Royal and they give you permission to hunt, the paper in the article said, the paper article today said, bow and arrows okay. You can't use a firearm, but bow and arrows just fine.
What about a hatchet?
Well, I don't know.
I think a hatchet would work. Maybe throwing stars would be better.
Oh, that'd be cool.
If you could hunt with throwing stars. I wonder if that's legal.
Now, all the little children love this turkey by now. Can't hatchet the turkey.
Yeah,
right.
Ed says you can't, and you're going against the mayor. You got a county commissioner candidate and the mayor that are against you, Chase. It's not looking good.
Yes,
they voted to keep the turkey around.
Okay, I'll give it one more week.
One more week. We'll see if he's still around. So then I've gone to a couple of events this last couple weeks, or this week. Monday night, you had a big event, Ed, up at the 1,000-degree, I get this name right, 1,000-degree brick oven wood-fired pizza in Mount Summit, Indiana. Is that right?
Great place, great pizza.
I love that place.
So they've got a big party room, and you had it filled up. You had pizza coming out your ears. You had cookies. You had a huge crowd. What was that event about?
It was just to meet people, just to say hi, try to give out my buttons, my pamphlets, and it went very well. A lot of people came, even some people that I didn't know. So,
well, that's good.
I knew a lot of them, but there were some new people.
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
I just get a plain pizza or mushrooms on it.
Mushroom.
I like mushrooms on
Now,
my
my
pizza.
wife puts everything on hers.
Yeah.
So if we're sharing, I usually get everything.
I was going to say, you get whatever she's eating, right?
But otherwise, I just like pretty much plain pizza.
Yeah, I usually get everything. I like a slice of pizza to weigh about 5 pounds by the time it's done.
Well,
Just everything on it.
It was a cool event. I popped in for a minute because Ed had messaged me and said, "Hey, can we have a cup of coffee or something?" And I hadn't had a chance to catch up with you, so I said I'm going to try to get to his event. So I stopped in on Monday, and you were there. Betsy Mills, our guest from last week, she had made an appearance. You know you're doing well when other candidates crash your event. You're doing good.
That was unexpected.
And then you had Jonathan Lamb, the candidate for Congress. He stopped in.
Peg Steffendell.
Peg was there. I didn't get a chance to meet Peg. She's scheduled to be on the show here in a few weeks, so we'll get a chance to talk to her then. But it was a great event. You did good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Did you raise some money? Shake some people down for cash too.
We got a little bit of money, but it's not about money. I think we have enough money. We ran a pretty low budget campaign, but I have 14 campaign managers, so
14 campaign managers. You're not one of them, are you?
no.
That's
We're
how it goes.
little disjointed, but it works out.
It's working. And then let's see. I also another one of our guests that we've had on. I got to hang out with Lane Siekman.
Yeah, Lane Siekman,
Democrat running for Congress. I saw him this week on Tuesday. He came through Newcastle Tuesday morning. He had a meet and greet at Jack's Donuts, and he said he'll buy your coffee. And I'm like, well, if I get a Democrat to buy a cup of coffee for me, I'm going to do that. That's been the first time they've put their hands in their pockets in a long time.
That's
so
hilarious.
I got Lane. He gave me $10. I bought my coffee and I gave him the change back. It was solid.
I saw my grandma Tuesday morning, and she said, "I'm pretty sure that I just saw Jeremiah at Jack's Donuts." And I was like, "Pretty sure, or you're sure?" And she goes, "I've only met him twice, so I'm not 100%."
I'm pretty
certain.
recognizable.
I mean, you are famous.
Locally famous,
local celebrity.
So it was Lane was there. He got Darren Jacobs, the incredible. There's nothing left of Darren Jacobs, by the way. He has slimmed down. I don't know if it's because we've ruined his reputation and he had to change his appearance or what. But Darren there's nothing left to him anymore.
We keep calling Darren the token socialist, so he's following the socialist diet, where
that might be what's happening.
It's not eating
in the bread lines.
Yep.
So Darren was there. The mayor showed up. I got to meet Bev Matthews from the Community Foundation. I met the Democrat chair, your counterpart. The Democrat chairwoman was there. Alan Bramlett, the former Democrat chair, was there. Dale Cole, the legendary Dale Cole. He made an appearance.
Dale Cole.
When Dale got there, I had to go because it was time to go to work, and I wanted to give him a chair. So, but it was fun. It was neat. Got to hang out with all those guys. They didn't run me out. So, as a libertarian, it's cool. We get to talk with the Republicans and the Democrats and the Libertarians and the Independents, and nobody really knows what to do with us. So they just kind of have conversations, and generally they don't hate us. So
we got a few more Patreon subscribers this month.
Man, we picked up a few. Yeah,
we did. I'm going to run through the list here really quick. So up at the top, man, the people that are just giving us the bacon here, Christy Avery and Brantley Spicer, both of you guys, super fans. I think Brantley has claimed the title of super duper Boss Hog of Liberty fan. And then
he's always in first. So
yeah, and we have Mary Hershey and Rebecca Baker, Sarah Potter, Kirsten Kronk. She's new. Kirsten's new.
Kirsten's new. She signed up
today. Chad Malicote, Nancy
Dietz.
I did not want to butcher the last name. And then we have Jamie Owens, Craig DaCosta, your parents, Joyce and Paul Morrell. My parents still haven't signed up.
Still waiting on Jeff and Don Davis to do the right thing.
What's going on with that? Then we have Zachary Bertram, my neighbor, and Corey Murphy and Aaron Ewert.
Man, thank you guys very much. That's incredible.
It's awesome.
It's really humbling. We set a goal of $500 a month, and we are just about at the halfway point on that. It's unreal.
Yep.
So at that point, we're going to have we've already purchased our first thing with the Shure device to be able to do our phone calls and to take remote callers. We've got that in place. Hopefully, we'll have it configured within a week. Dakota's holding up a poster. What's the story on the poster?
So I said last week that we didn't have the poster in yet, because I didn't expect anybody to be pledging in the $25 and the $50 reward section. So I didn't have one designed yet because I thought I had plenty of time. Well, it turns out I was very wrong, and just in a couple of days, people had already subscribed to those. So we have a poster printed out, and it looks like a newspaper. It's got pictures of all of our different logos, says it's the greatest podcast ever produced, and East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. It talks a little bit about tinfoil time and our logos, and we're going to be sending those out by the end of the weekend.
Very cool. So if people are interested in joining the patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty to sign up and join. And then of course, you do get the premium content. You get tinfoil time, and then some additional bonus audio. And I hear that there's going to be a special bonus edition, or a special bonus poster if you sign up at the Libertarian Convention. So if you come to the Libertarian Convention in May, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get a poster down there, signing up at any level. So enough about that. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. We should probably talk to Ed. We had him drive all the way in here. We've been bantering back and forth. Hopefully we've put him at ease.
I'm ready.
You're good to go.
There we go.
Good to go. So let's learn about you a little bit. We know that you're from New Jersey, and like Betsy last week, you appear to be ridiculously well educated. You went to Montclair State College in New Jersey, and you studied health and physical education. So you were a gym teacher?
Yes.
Amongst many things. You've had like 400 careers.
I like it that way. I try to learn something, everything I did, and I do get bored easy, so I change a lot.
There you go. So I have
different opportunities came along, and I took them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So you're also the second Ball State graduate in a row we've had on. We've had a lot of Ball State people, because you've got a master's degree in physical education from Ball State.
Yes, because when I started teaching in Indiana, they required it.
Really?
So, they don't anymore now, but you had to have a master's degree to teach.
And I was teaching in Cambridge City at the time, living here in Henry County.
You taught at Lincoln then?
Taught at Lincoln and drove there, coached all year long because I coached football, wrestling, and track. And I had to get that master's at night after coaching. So,
oh, my gosh. You were a busy man whenever you had to go through get that master's degree.
All right, let's talk about football for a minute.
Sure.
You what kind of record you have as a football? You were assistant coach, head coach at Lincoln? What's the story?
I was assistant coach.
Assistant coach.
Yes.
You do have a little bit of a Ted Marchibroda vibe to you, actually. You and Ted Marchibroda, who was the Colts head coach in the 90s and the 70s, Chase. You guys could be doppelgangers. Like, you could be his stunt double. You know that? Everybody ever tell you that?
No, but I did coach with a pretty interesting guy, Joe Szymanski, who's passed away now, but he actually played professional football with Bart Starr.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Did he play for the Packers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the head coach, and I was one of his assistants.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you enjoy making your kids run in practice?
Not too much.
Not too much.
He made them run. He
Only
just
when
didn't
they
like it.
were really bad.
Yeah, they have to be in shape, sure.
I didn't like that. I always thought that was kind of pointless whenever you had to run for a punishment. It's like, if we lost, why are you going to just make us run? Why aren't we practicing more?
Am I close? I'm holding up a picture of Ted
sometimes-
Yeah, you are
Marchibroda Dakota.
close.
Is that close?
I can see it.
Yeah.
That was very close. Sometimes my coach would make me run even when we won.
Somewhat close.
But I was fat, so
Ed
that
looks
might
at me
have
and says,
something
"You
to
just
do
held
with
up a picture of an old man to me. What are you doing?" I'm going to get run out of my own studio. I love Ted Marchibroda. He was the Colts head coach. He was the Ravens head coach. Dakota's the one athlete in the crowd. He was the tight end.
I was a tight end. That's correct. Yep.
That's what I was.
Really? There's a second thing in common: Dunreath, and then a tight end.
Yeah, the Dunreath thing is not real at all.
It's not?
No,
You made it up.
I made it up.
You're
You
fake.
you live out by Kades, right?
No, I lived by Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur. All right.
I
Well,
did live in Cadiz. That was the first place I lived because my wife's from Cadiz.
Okay, that's what I remembered from Monday.
So you're trying to make us fake news there, Jeremiah, by making us tell fake stories.
Just want to see what
I'm
rumors we can
disappointed.
get started and see where it goes.
I've driven through Dunreath many times, so.
Yeah, that's about the extent of what most people do. So you were a Marine Corps officer from 1973 to 1976.
Yes.
Is that
One of the most fun times of my life.
it was a fun time?
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Huh. I don't think that I've ever heard anybody say fun with that much enthusiasm talking about the Marines before. Usually they're like, oh, it was tough. It built character.
It was the most fun I ever had, I think.
There we go.
Where were you stationed? Were you stateside or did you go overseas?
I was in Quantico for about 9 months because you go 3 months of OCS and then you go to what they call the basic school. But you're already a lieutenant then, so that was pretty much a gentleman's course after that.
Because you already had your degree, you didn't have the rough treatment. You were an officer.
Well, after the first 3 months.
Right.
The first 3 months, they give you the rough treatment. And that was, just at the end of the Vietnam War. So all the DIs and whatnot just came back from Vietnam. So they were well prepared to give you the full treatment.
Yeah. You came into a very battle-hardened time, the people that were bringing you up.
And if you were in reasonable shape, it wasn't so bad.
Were you in reasonable shape when you went in, or you were when you got out?
I was in good shape. I just finished wrestling in college, so I was in good shape.
Well, there you go. So going in and out.
The poor guys that came in a little out of shape, it was very hard for them.
They wouldn't be saying it was the most fun.
No, they did not like it.
So then you, after 1976, you joined the Army National Guard, stayed in there until 2002, and you're a retired lieutenant colonel. Why did you decide to make the transfer from the Marine Corps to the Army National Guard?
Well, the Marine Corps is a small outfit, really, and the Marine Corps reserves are much smaller, so there wasn't anything really close. Closest place was Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a communications outfit. So I was infantry, so I went in the infantry in the National Guard.
All right. Well, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And then, so you were in the active in the military whenever you were teaching and coaching and getting your master's degree.
Right.
So you not only were you coaching all those and attending night classes for your master's degree, but you were also an active member of the military.
I like to stay busy.
I guess so. Gosh.
Surprised you didn't run for county commissioner in 1978 too, just for the hell of it.
Have you ever taken a nap?
Yeah. No, well, I don't take naps. But I fall asleep in the chair now. Quite often, actually.
I guess that counts as a nap. But you taught PE at Lincoln from 78 to 81. And coached football, wrestling, girls track. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh.
He already said it once. I don't know why you have to repeat it.
I know.
Dakota.
Well, I just can't get over the fact of how busy he kept himself. Like, I feel like I'm really busy right now, and I can't even imagine doing all that stuff. I'm just really impressed by that, I guess.
Had kids, too.
I'm just going to say it, Dakota. You're really lazy.
Am I?
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
Now, this is a big undertaking here.
This podcast, no small thing here. Building a studio and trying to sound competent on the fake internet radio.
Yeah, trying
hosting a TV
my
show.
Hardest. You were the chief of doctrine at the United States Army Physical Fitness School in Fort Benjamin, which is in Lawrence, Indiana. If people don't know, what exactly is the chief of doctrine?
That was the greatest job I ever had because it was the ultimate job for a gym teacher.
Really nice. Do you have a gold-plated whistle?
I have a brass whistle.
A brass whistle.
Close enough.
But that job just came about by luck, actually. The Secretary of the Army at the time, John Omar, said the Army was out of shape. And so he started a physical fitness school, and it happened to be in Indianapolis. And they hired about 18 civilians. All of them had master's degrees. 5 of them had doctorates to write the curriculum. And I went up there for an interview, and I got the job. And what it turned out, we spent a few months developing the course, and it was a train-the-trainer course. What you did was train soldiers to go out and train other soldiers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we went all over the world, all over the United States. The Army's big, had about 750,000 at the time. And like I said, it's the ultimate gym teacher job.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Travel to Europe 7 or 8 times,
wow.
Korea, and all over the United States. So, and with great people, it was a lot of fun.
And you did that for 11 years?
Yeah, about 11 and a half. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. That sounds like an awesome job.
I would have kept that job, except that it was bad timing. My son was a senior in high school, and he played football and basketball. And you know how basketball is in Indiana.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
And I was just building a new house, and I didn't even get to move in it yet when they closed Fort Harrison. And we were going to go to Fort Benning, Georgia, which didn't sound too good to me.
Yep.
So I quit the job. But
so after that, you opened up your own business and started operating Tarantino signs.
Right.
So what kind of signs did you make at your shop?
All different kinds. It was at the time they still painted quite a few signs.
Okay.
I still do that today. I painted that 1,000-degree pizza.
Did you really?
All the flames and things out there.
You have the first time your name was ever I ever heard your name was the piece of that's a mural that was done at the Henry County Saddle Club. There's a horse out there I think it's on the restrooms, on one of the sets of restrooms out there. But it's a really neat horse.
Right, they get the best muralists to paint on restroom.
Yeah, it's premium stuff. And then later on, I think you did some more out at the Arts Park as well, right? Didn't you? Maybe
Well, I started a camp for kids, and they've done quite a few. We had that 3 years. And at the whole wall on 15th Street.
On the Hope Building.
On the Hope Building, that was 2 years' work. And then we also did it at the Little League Diamond on the concession stand. I think we have 11 or 12 there. And we're still looking for a place. We're going to do it again this June.
Am I giving the wrong guy credit for the ones that are on the Arts Building on over by the Arts Park? There's like a Robert Indiana painting. That's not yours?
Well, I shared that with Steve Whiter.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you get partial credit.
We did it together, yeah.
All right. Well, that's a cool one too. So basically any of the murals in the city, we're just giving you credit at this point.
Yeah.
And and you were signed up. I assume you're still planning on doing it. The new Veterans Museum. You're going to be putting some murals in downstairs in the basement down there as well.
Yeah, if that comes about, I did submit a plan for that. And if they like the plan, then sure, I'll do that.
So you volunteered. It's a matter. The ball's in their court on that one.
Right.
All right. Very
so then,
cool.
that after you did that, you went back into the teaching world at Newcastle Community Schools, or was it Chrysler High School then?
Well, I was actually at the Newcastle Alternative School.
Okay.
So I had to go back to college at Ball State and get certified in special ed.
There you go.
The reason I got out of the sign business, my dad was here, and he's the actual artist and sign painter, a lot better than I was, but he had dementia. And it's hard to have business when the boss has dementia. So I decided it was better to go back to teach school. And he still hung on for a few years painting because he had all his skills. He just couldn't remember it was hard because he couldn't remember if he got paid for things or not. I'd say, Dad, did you get paid for that? He said, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a rough way to run a business.
I decided to go back and teach school, and I still helped him part-time.
Sam Cross just said in the live stream comments that you were a master woodworker. Is there truth to that?
No,
what's the story behind
true.
that?
I taught wood shop, but I had no experience in wood shop.
Hold up your hands. How many digits you got?
I got all my fingers.
And
I guess at the alternative school, I'm pretty proud to say that no one was seriously injured in the 12 years I taught there. We had a couple little Band-Aid accidents, but nothing too bad.
Huh. There you go. He's a master woodworker, but you learned it all on the job. Then is what I'm taking
on the
from
job training.
There we go.
So your dad was an artist, and he did the painting. Is Quentin Tarantino any relation to you? The movie maker?
I call him Cousin Quentin, but I don't think he's a relation.
Not really related.
Actually, I have a family tree that goes back to the 1870s or 80s, and there's about 300 people in it.
Huh?
But it's only one of 5 brothers, and Quentin's not there.
He's not on the
So
list.
I'm thinking he might be one of the other four brothers.
Could be. You don't find yourself wanting to make things real bloody all the time.
I don't like
that's the scene. That's
I don't like
the key to
Quentin's
Tarantino.
movies. So
He's made a couple of good ones that I really liked. Like he made which I can't even think of. I'm gonna draw a blank on here. Django Unchained. That was a good one.
That was a good one. He made the
Kill Bill.
Glorious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Everybody loves a good Nazi killing movie.
yeah, he's pretty violent.
He is.
Yeah.
A little rough.
I'm a peace-loving guy.
Well, we're libertarians, so I guess we should say we are as well, the anti-war party. But so now you have a whole long list of volunteer work. We're going to publish the show notes for the people that are subscribing on the Patreon account, and there's links to all of the different things. But in 2014, you started the Artistry Annex for the Art Association of Henry County. What's the Artistry Annex do?
Well, I actually started it in the old middle school building on 14th Street, and I just wanted a place for local artists to sell the things they made. We have, oil painters and watercolor painters and jewelry makers and pottery people, and we had about 20 there, but they had to pay rent, even though the rent was low.
Oh, okay.
And the building where we are now is part of the Art Association, and it's one of the few art co-ops in the state. Actually, it's the only one I know of where you don't have to pay rent. So we have about 40 members.
Oh, wow. 40.
40 members, all different types of art. It's a pretty neat place.
Podcasting is an art.
Yeah. Maybe we should rent there.
Self-invite ourselves.
You can come in. Problem we have is we're only open on Saturday from 9 to 3. So,
Yep.
But Christmas time we do pretty well. But art's not a big seller in Newcastle.
Oh.
But I'd like people to think of us as a gift place.
I'll tell you what, it's come a long way in a short amount of time, though. The Robert Indiana Parkway and having that presence there, I've never been an art guy like that. You wouldn't think that that's what I care. It's not natural for me, but I do have an appreciation for it. And we do have, having that there, having the Robert Indiana Parkway, having his sculptures and the decorations and I know we've got the sculptures and the bicycle sculptures and others that are there. The community's gone a long way in kind of trying to establish that.
Yeah, and the good thing about art is whenever it starts to establish itself in a community, is it generally that means that things get nicer within said community because, there's art places, and art is always a good thing in my head. So I think it's a good thing what the Art Association is doing.
So this is all led up to this point of you making the crazy decision about 2 months ago to put your name on the ballot.
Yes.
So we've asked this question to everybody that's been on so far. What in the world were you thinking? Why are you getting into this political game? What's motivating you? How'd you get off the couch and decide you needed to do this?
Well, I retired from teaching about 2.5 years ago or so. And you saw how busy I used to be. So I was a little bored. And there are a few issues that I really feel strongly about. And some people asked me if I would consider it. And I thought about it a day. And then I said, this might be just what I need. So
There you go.
I got into it.
That's a good as reason as that I've heard so far.
So some of the issues that we've that have kind of been the key issues in the campaign is you're in a two-way race. You're a Republican. So if somebody wants to vote for you in Henry County, you've got to pull a Republican ballot, and you're in the county commissioner's race. You live in the northern district, but it's the entire county vote. So if you live in Newcastle, if you live in Cambridge, if you have a Cambridge address, you live in
a lot
Knightstown,
of people don't understand that.
Anywhere
the whole
in the county
votes for commissioner.
You vote for commissioner. So you live, but you represent the northern third, or you have to live in the northern third to have that seat. So one of the issues that we've seen, and this isn't new this cycle, but the Henry County Jail has been a topic. When I spoke with you on Monday, you said you had a chance to tour it. So what did you find? What do you think? What's the future of the jail?
Well, I toured it last week for the first time, and I was really impressed with the sheriff. I thought Rick McCorkle is doing a great job. He's passionate about what he does, and I really like that in people. I like to see people that are passionate about what they do, and he is. So whatever I say about the jail, it's no reflection on him. I think he's a great sheriff. the jail, I think, was abominable, and mainly because of the overcrowding. It was made to hold about 68 to 70 some people, and they have had up to 200. It's not as crowded as that now. But when I was going through, my kids have never been in jail, but I was thinking, boy, oh boy, if one of my kids did something, I wouldn't want to see them end up here. Yeah. It's so crowded, and that crowding leads to violence. They have a lot of fights in the jail. It leads to vandalism. They tear the jail up. They don't have enough cameras to watch them all. They can sometimes have 4 or 5 people in a very small cell. They have 3 bunks in the cell, and sometimes they have to pull another mattress in there. It's just almost inhumane. I don't like to see it happen. We got to do something about the jail. The overcrowding, I think, is the biggest problem. The jail's old, but it's not so old it couldn't be used. If we only had 70 people in there, it would be a reasonable place to hold them.
So what we've talked about with people as we've had this dialogue over the last few months on this show. Counties all across our area, because of some changes in state law, have been filling the jails up. Delaware County is converting a middle school over to become a new jail. Rush County is taking out bonds, and they're building a new jail. And now on the ballot next month in Hancock County, Greenfield area, they've got a $55 million jail budget, or $55 million jail bond for the voters to say yes or no to. Anything over $2 million has to go to the voters. You can't just automatically do it. You have to basically ask for permission because of the property tax caps. We're acknowledging that Henry County has a problem with the jail. What are you advocating for at this point?
Well, the biggest problem I see is the overcrowding. They have a place right across the street from the jail where they hold the less serious crimes. 90% of the people in jail are there for drugs. 20% of those are dealers. The rest are just people who have a drug problem.
Possession or some sort of a...
If we could get some drug programs that worked, and that's not easy. My wife works at the Anderson Center, and she sees the same people over and over again. She's been there 20 or 30 years. And it's hard to kick drug problems, but if we had a different place to house those people that was secure and that actually helped, I'd be all for that. The overcrowding has to be dealt with.
There's a couple different ideas that we've heard that have come onto the show. People have talked about. One of them is the shell building that the county built. We've heard ideas of turning that into a jail.
Delaware County talked about doing that with theirs. So I don't know if anybody's come on this show and talked about it, but I know it's been talked about.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about it on the show before. We have a shell building. It's 50,400 square feet. Surely that can hold more than the little place that we have downtown. Is that feasible? I don't understand.
I haven't looked at the shell building. Butch was on a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that at one time they talked about making a juvenile detention center into the jail, and they could have done it for about $5 million.
Yeah,
I don't know what stopped them from doing that, but I think I might have been for that deal.
Yeah,
because a new jail is going to cost $20 to $30 million at least.
I think the price tag in Rush County is in the 30 range, and we said it's going to be 55 in Hancock.
If we could have acted a few years ago and got it for $5 million, that would have been a good deal.
That would have been a great deal.
I don't know why they didn't do that, but now the building's being rented out, leased out, I think, for at least 3 years.
Yep.
And so I guess we can't use that for 3 years.
Yeah, the shell building is interesting because I don't see it really working for the $5 million that we could have had the youth detention center for, and frankly, I don't see it being that much cheaper than in the long run than a place like building a new facility, the $30 million, because of everything that would have to go go into it.
Right. It's probably not very practical.
Right.
Yeah, that shell building is a magnet. It's right now it's used for marketing, and the Economic Development Corporation shows that as a shovel-ready site, and it can be expanded. I'm not sure that I would. Well, first of all, I'm not sure I would have built the shell building to start with, but I'm not sure that I would advocate for putting the jail there.
Yeah,
you don't
especially.
It kind of leads into the next part of the conversation we're going to have. You don't have a whole lot of industrial site space left, so there's talk of the commissioners putting this 130-acre site or 140-acre site off 300 South, letting it go light industrial. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that converting this over to jail use when you're potentially taking rural residential or farm ground and turning it into light industrial is the path we want to go. But
they approved that last night.
They did do that. Okay. So where were you on that conversation?
I think they should have took a little more time, because I'm sure there are other places they could have explored. They looked at that one because a couple local entrepreneurs bought the land and tried to get it rezoned for that. I think there were a lot of people in the courthouse that didn't like the idea, and just a few that did like it. I see the need for it. I don't know if that's necessarily the best place to put it. I think they should have taken a little more time and looked around the county to see if there was a place they could have had that didn't disturb so many people.
So this is probably a philosophical thing that we probably want to learn about you and share your philosophy on. We have a central, not a central plan, but a comprehensive plan that the county has paid for and is in the process of adopting. It's gone through a steering committee and the planning commission, and that's in the commissioner's desk. And they continue to tweak it and make modifications. As a general rule, and we can get into wind later, but as far as land use and the maps that are in that comprehensive plan, do you agree with that direction, or are there changes you think that they should be making that are better uses of our area than what they've got shown in there now?
Well, first off, I would have never spent $110,000 of taxpayer money to have anyone make a plan. And the way it came about, they just put together groups of people, had them explore different problems, and they sort of acted like the facilitator for it and then stuck it all together. We could have done that. The people on the little focus groups, they didn't get paid.
I was on the focus group. I didn't get paid at all.
I don't know why we needed a company that we had to pay $110,000 with all the other problems we have. There aren't very many companies I would pay that kind of money for their advice.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was changed for political reasons a few times.
I can agree with that.
Right. So
squeaky wheels definitely make changes, right?
Yeah. So I would be against. I'm against most studies and things like that where you spend a lot of taxpayer money. We have enough problems. Even people always talk about the roads. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but we don't have $110,000 to waste, and I think that was a waste.
So, as a county commissioner, you have oversight over the county planning commission. You may be one of the members. The commissioners get one member there. Right now, I think Eddie Ano serves in that role, and I think it may rotate year to year. But if something comes out of that group, it comes to the commissioners to be approved. What sort of decision-making process will you have? You said you want to take time and listen to input from the community. I guess, do you anticipate stopping projects that come out of the planning commission and saying no? I want to reject that as a rule or as a protection measure for the community. What do you see your role?
It depends on their logic and how well they thought it out before it got to the commissioners. But as a commissioner, if I were lucky enough to get that job, I think I would take my time and be very careful. I would listen to all sides. And I don't have any trouble making decisions. I've made decisions all my life. I had lots of jobs where I had to make decisions, but I think sometimes we don't explore all the options. And I think I'm pretty good at coming up with options. Even for the jail, I think I could come up with a lot of different options that would put off buying a brand new jail right away. because we're still in debt for the Justice Center. And it doesn't look like we're going to have the money for a new jail for a few years at least, but I know something has to be done, and we can't wait a few years. We've got to do something about the jail
Something has
now.
to be done now.
Right.
Yeah. There's lawsuits and things that have been filed against the commissioners because of the state of the jail. Yeah. I know that we already talked about that, but it is a big deal. We've talked about it a lot on the show.
That's very big. In fact, even if I lose this race, I think I might get involved in trying to help with that problem, because I was really moved when I looked at that jail. I'd be ashamed to have to. I saw some people in there that I knew, kids that I had taught in school.
Oh yeah,
that's not easy at all.
Yeah,
and I did not like it.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty rough, actually. All right. That was a heavy moment.
So we're talking about land use, and the big land, the 1,000-pound elephant or the 10,000-pound elephant in land use has been industrial wind. You have definitely been on the opposition side to having industrial wind, or at least you're interested in a different ordinance than what we have now. So I guess we'll give the floor to you and explain where you're at on that. If it's a total prohibition, if we need a different ordinance, or what your campaign's position is on industrial wind. And I think there's at least 2, maybe 3 projects that are potentially coming to Henry County.
Right. And I am totally against all of them. Not so much because I'm totally against wind. I don't think it's very good. I think it's going to be obsolete before it does anyone any good. But this is a window of opportunity for these wind turbine companies because of the way the federal government is. There's a lot of money to be made quickly, and our county is just too densely populated to even consider this. And I think about half the county probably doesn't consider it a very serious problem, because if you live in Newcastle or Knightstown, it doesn't mean as much to you as the people who live out in the county. But to me, it's a simple decision to make, and I do not understand why it's taking so long. When Butch was on here a couple weeks ago, he said something to the effect that when it was over, and they're about to pass something, I think, here in the next month or two.
The commissioners are rewriting the WEX ordinance, the Wind Energy Conversion System ordinance.
And he said when that passed, whatever they decided to do with it, that the commissioners wouldn't be happy, the big farmers wouldn't be happy, the people protesting the turbines wouldn't be happy. And I remember I was listening, and I said, what do you mean? Why would you pass something that makes no one happy? It doesn't make sense to me. And that's it wouldn't even work out that way. Somebody's going to be happy. Either people are going to be happy because no turbines are coming into this county, or the big farmers are going to be real happy because they are coming in.
So do you think that they're dead now without abatements, or do you think that the wind companies could still come in even if no changes are made right now? Or do you think these projects are dead and they have to do something to make them come back to life? Or what were...
They're not dead because they're signing leases as we speak. There's only about 125 lease signers in the county, but they are still trying to recruit more. And of that 125, there's really only 7 or 8 pretty big farmers that are putting the most pressure on this issue. But to me, it's almost a moral issue. It's a property issue. You libertarians ought to appreciate that. What I've argued back and forth with people, but you do not have a right to do anything you want with your property. We already have zoning laws. You want to build anything in this county, you have to bring it to the planning commission. You have to ask permission. If it's anything significant, you've got to ask your neighbor's permission. I don't understand how these 500-foot towers can get in without asking anyone's permission. And they do affect other people's property.
Yeah, the property value issue is definitely one of the the most concrete in my mind that arguments against wind energy that I've heard is that they do. There has been some research done that shows that whenever wind farms go up, the property values of those in the immediate vicinity are plummeting. So that would be a big concern for me. But obviously, I live in the middle of town, so it's not a concern for me right now. But it could end up affecting the entire county if other businesses and more taxpayers don't want to go in there.
Reset your iRig over there, Dakota. I think they're losing audio on the live feed. We've still got the podcast feed, so we'll keep going, but we'll let you reset the iRig and see what happens. Well, everybody's freaking out online. They get angry. You have a lot of people listening and watching all at the same time.
Let's start over.
No, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. It's fine.
There we go.
So the Amber says, just everything he said. If you missed everything we said, the replay will be on the podcast. So you can jump on there and you can get the podcast on BossHogOfLiberty.com.
Or the YouTube.
If you missed it. Or on the YouTube.
Dakota said he was for wind farms.
He convinced him right there in that moment. He convinced them to be pro-wind.
Well, it's funny because obviously the property value issue is important. I'm fortunate. I'm old enough. My house is paid for. If I lose money, I lose money.
Oh, wait a minute. You're missing out on that $3,000 mortgage tax credit. What, are you crazy?
But I would feel sorry for young people who have just built houses, have big mortgages, and they would be upside down in their house. And besides that, just the intrusion on the peace and quiet, that's why people move to the country, so that they can have peace and quiet.
All right, so
I got a couple illustrations. Just in something sounds different here. We doing good?
Yeah, we're doing fine.
Okay. Just a few weeks ago, I saw an article in I don't know if it's a magazine or some pamphlet or whatever, called the Fence Post. It was in Nebraska. And it was a county councilman who voted for wind farms in Nebraska, and his wife. They both supported it, thought it was a great idea, until they got them. After they put them in, they both complained about the red lights flashing at night and the noise they made. Now, I am hard of hearing, so I don't hear much noise. I've been out in Randolph County, listened. I don't hear a lot, but a lot of people do. The problem with this one is they were 1.5 miles away from the closest turbine in Nebraska, and they were bothered by the lights and the noise, and they were very sorry that they got them put in.
So you said 1.5 miles. We'll leave this topic at that one, I guess. Is there a setback, in the county, or is it just a prohibition? The WEX ordinance should be there will be no industrial wind turbines built in the county. There's no setback number. It's just if you vote Tarantino, it's no.
The wind companies themselves have the setbacks, I think, from 1,600 to 1,900 as a danger area.
Mm-hmm. 2,000 feet. What was it before? Before this was done, what was the number? Before this adjustment was being made? Was it 1,000 or 1,500 for Henry County?
Right now, it's 1,500 from your house, foundation of your house, and much closer than that from your property line. Oh. But people tell me all the time that, they've got them all over Europe. They're not having a problem with them, but they are having a problem with them. In fact, Germany and Poland have just changed their setbacks, and they've had them for years and years and years, and they changed it to 2,000 meters, which is over
6,000 feet,
over a mile. And they did that because they learned something. They don't want these things that close to people, and that's the problem in our county. They don't belong 1,500 feet.
Do you think that as this technology evolves, it could end up changing the setback? So say that we don't subsidize these, and manufacturers actually have to really evolve their product more before people will get interested.
I don't think they'll ever build them if they're not subsidized.
Yeah,
they're just not worth it.
And that's kind of the position I've taken, because I'm a candidate as well. I'm running for the Henry County Council in the 1st District race, which is half of Henry Township. And I've said I wouldn't vote for an abatement. And based on that, I don't know that they would happen, because they require a county tax abatement. And I've counted the votes on the council now and the people that are running. I don't see the votes being there to give an abatement. So I feel like everybody's really upset over this issue, but I'm not sure the votes are there to make it happen to actually go forward anyway.
I hope there's enough votes to stop the abatement, but I have heard some people say they don't need the abatement, that they could put them in without the abatement, because the money they get from the federal government is enough that it would still be profitable. I don't know if that's true or not.
You had Jonathan Lamb on Monday. Did you, at your event? Did you talk to him about wind at all? Did you talk about federal subsidies and energy?
Not with Lamb. I did talk to Rokita about that, and he didn't seem to know much about it. He didn't think it was a very big issue. But I assured him that there were thousands of voters out here that do care about the issue.
Interesting. So there's not an anti-wind candidate on the federal level of the 3 Republicans running for Senate that you're aware of?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not who I've heard speak out about it.
Interesting.
No, when I look at this county, though, when Susan Yoon ran last election, 7,000 votes, and you should be able to appreciate this as a libertarian, because she ran as an independent.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not easy. You have to. You're going against the headwinds of automatic Democrat and automatic Republican vote getters.
And I had a councilman. Actually, I won't mention names.
Oh, come on! We're all friends here.
he told me that Susan Yoon got the boost because of the big Republican turnout, and she ran it. I said, "No way!" You know, it was Ed Llanos that got the boost. I don't know how you could even logically say that she got a boost.
Susan had an very impressive number for an independent. She won a precinct, or won a township. I think she won Dudley Township. So
I looked
very
back
strong showing.
20 years, and I saw for independents or third-party candidates votes like 57, 230, 310. Nowhere near. No one ever got 1,000.
She did a great job.
7,000.
She really did. Her and David both.
All right, so let's pivot a little bit. We're talking about local government in general and transparency, and we've talked on this show about being able to hear meetings and see what's going on in meetings, and being able to get to meetings, council meetings at 3:00 during the workday. What steps would you take, or do you think we need to take steps towards transparency in county government, public meetings?
Well, first of all, for people like me and a lot of other people, you go to a public meeting, you should be able to hear what's being said. The sound system is horrible.
Yeah.
You can't hear what the people are saying. I can't imagine. You could have easily taken that $110,000 we spent on a study, and for a whole lot less than that, got some decent microphones and a sound system so people could understand what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in there that need done for audio-visual equipment as well. Just the sound, the echo in there. I mean, it's a literal echo chamber inside that old courthouse. And
we're going to have to go in with all these sound tiles. We're going to fix that place up.
Hey, I offered my services.
This is a first-class outfit here.
Not bad for a spare bedroom in Newcastle, Indiana, huh?
You could jam them all in here, maybe.
We could have the whole council in here. We'd have to have a couple more cameras. But, we could have the whole county council, all the commissioners. They could have their meetings in here if they wanted to.
People could just watch them on the podcast.
That's right.
They'd learn a lot more.
That's a great idea.
Than they're learning in the
Instead of me going to them, they need to come to me.
We'll rent it out
I
to
agree.
them.
I agree, though, with the $110,000 that we spent on that, I definitely would have put up some sound tiles for $110,000. I mean, I would have done that for days.
Well, the honest
while we're talking about money, just in the short time I've been looking into things, there's I think a lot of money wasted in the county.
The problem you get into is a lot of the state government has set up county government a way that we have lanes we have to run in, right? So you can only spend certain dollars on certain things, and you can't decide to take something out of bucket A and put it into bucket B. So a portion of the money the largest portion that paid for that $110,000 comprehensive plan came from food and beverage money, because the comprehensive plan is used for, economic development, stimulus, tourism, and that kind of falls in that bucket. we can't take that money and say, okay, we're going to build a jail, or we're going to put that on roads, or we're going to put it on, AV equipment in the commissioner's meeting room. It could have gone to Morrell Park. It could have gone to different places. But if we're going to have that food and beverage tax, the state legislature says we can only spend it on certain things. That's the trick of it all. And one of the reasons I'm so frustrated with government in general is because you've got, you're trying to operate a government, your hands are tied behind your back, and you've got certain lanes you can get into.
If you look at the fire department, the fire building they want to build in Blunsville.
Yes.
And I'm all for those people having a new fire station. They need it.
So they raised, or they applied for a federal grant, and it's like a blessing and a curse. They got a grant for probably 90% of the money they need, but then they come to the county and said, hey, you've got about 3 weeks to give me $50,000 or we lose $500,000 in construction in the county. Guns to your head, Ed. What are you going to do?
What I hate to say it, but I looked at the building that they're going to get for $500,000. They got $500,000 grant. They need another $57,000. When I saw that drawing, I couldn't believe it. It was a pole barn with 4 garage doors. I took it over to DeBrule. I bought a copy of the blueprint on 38. I said, have you guys seen this building? Because they build those types of buildings. Sure. No, they didn't get the bid on it. They didn't hear about it. A company in Pendleton got the bid called Fredericks. I said, ballpark me a figure on this building. It's 50 by 60, I believe. All metal building, metal roof. He said $45,000. Now, obviously, you have to pour an 8-inch concrete pad. It had a little office in the back, 2 bathrooms. I don't know if it was insulated or not. There's a spec book about this thick from the grant people.
It's a spec book because as a federal grant, all of a sudden you have to comply with all the federal government responsibilities.
But essentially what you're getting is maybe a $150,000 building for $500,000, and that's not enough. You got to go to the county and ask for more money. Something's wrong there.
So where did that one lay? That one, I guess the council at their next meeting has to deal with that issue.
They're going to decide at the next meeting whether they're going to give them the money or not. I was at the town board meeting at Sulphur Springs last night or the night before, Tuesday night, I think. I asked them, they have a very nice fire station. I asked, how much did your fire station cost? They said, well, we got a lot of help, volunteer help, whatnot. But altogether, it cost $60,000. It's very nice. It's brick. So $500,000 ought to build a fire station.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you get federal dollars involved in something, isn't it?
Well, I used to work for the federal government. I saw a lot of waste. I could tell stories about waste, but...
So you're advocating for the council to say, no, let's reposition and let's make a different decision.
Well, if one town can build a perfectly good firehouse for $60,000, it would be a shame to lose a grant for $500,000. But on the other hand, I don't like to see even the federal government spending $500,000 on something that's worth $150,000.
Yeah, and this money is not—it's not general fund money that they're talking about. This is the 1% public safety, the local option income tax. That's where this bucket would come from.
I'm not sure where it comes from. I was just upset that they had to ask for it.
Right. Oh, I understand. All right. So I guess the next major issue we have to chat about was roads. County commissioner, all of a sudden you get to go to road school. They send you to Purdue University, and you're responsible for ditches and drainage and 800 miles of county road. So I'm going to be the first guy in line at Ed Tarantino's office saying, Jeffrey Street's a mess and I need paved. How are you going to say, Jeremiah, get in line?
Well, I tried to go to that road school as a candidate. I couldn't get in, I guess. But so I don't know a whole lot about roads, except that we have 800 miles of roads, probably on a 200-mile budget. So no matter who's commissioner, there's going to be road problems. There's going to be a lot of potholes. I would just say that I would certainly look at dangerous conditions first, and I'm sure they do to a certain extent. I'm not an expert on roads, but they told me they did 50 miles of road last year, and they had $1 million grant from the state. Even at that rate, if you just do 50 miles, it would take you 16 years to pave the roads in the county.
That doesn't buy any bridges either.
The roads don't last 16 years. They last 3 or 4 years, and they need repair. So you're in a catch-up mode all the time.
It's a snake eating its tail at this point.
Yeah, either we have to find ways to get more money, some innovative ways, find better ways. I've heard some other counties have pretty good ways. I haven't gotten a chance yet. I have talked to the people in our county about the roads. I can't promise to fix all the potholes, but I will look for dangerous areas. I know I don't know what's going on here with this, but I heard we're going to get another 600 some odd thousand from the state, and most of it's going for signs.
Yeah, I believe that it actually has to go to signs, though. We don't really just allocate those funds to the signs. We don't. It's another one of those things where we don't have a choice.
Some awful nice signs and some really bad roads.
Yeah,
maybe the sign should point to the roads and say danger area.
Yeah, the sign should say large bumps ahead or potholes ahead.
Pretty signs. I'm a sign guy. I appreciate $600,000 worth of signs and terrible roads, but.
So do you think, is chip and seal the solution, or gravel roads, or asphalt, or redoing the crowns on the roads, or all of the above?
People wouldn't like to go back to gravel roads. I lived on a gravel road here for many, many years. A lot of dust. Bothered my wife more than it bothered me, but...
you can't really keep your vehicle clean on a gravel road.
Yeah, I hardly ever wash my vehicle. My wife she washes hers, though. We have a gravel drive. She hardly ever lets me drive her car. But,
wait, let's learn something about you here. What do you drive and what's the wife drive? Let's figure this out. What are you not allowed to drive?
What do I drive right now? I have one of the nicest cars I've had in my whole life. It's because it's my wife's old car. She has a Subaru.
Oh, nice.
Indiana made, probably, huh?
I don't know.
Lafayette.
Yeah. So, she likes that. Doesn't like me to drive much. I say I'm the man. I'm supposed to drive. She says not this vehicle. But I drive a 2010 Hyundai.
Really?
But nice. I do like it.
Now wait, this is a Chrysler town. You're driving around in an import? That's dangerous.
I know, and all her family work for Chrysler too.
And what's your dream car? If you could have any car, what would it be?
I don't really care much about cars.
Don't care.
The favorite car I've ever had, I did buy. What year was that? I think it was a '78 Lincoln.
Nice.
Town car.
That's the kind of song Jim Varney sang about, Hot Rod Lincoln.
I bought it only about 1985. I loved the car. Gas wasn't too expensive. It was a great car to take a long drive in. It had leather seats. It had power, everything. What I really liked is it had high beams that turned themselves on and off.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Cars come, they did it.
Because I'll put my high beams on driving out in the country, and then I forget to turn them off.
It's a good way to end up in that county jail. You're going.
It's bad. It's bad. But that Lincoln, it was a great car. People borrowed it to take it on vacation. But other than that, I have no dream car.
I could see you rolling up in like a Viper. Maybe a Dodge Viper.
I think he's more of a Lamborghini guy.
Yeah, I doubt it.
All right. So the last issue we've been talking about on this show, and you have a big oversight responsibility if you're a park, if you are a county commissioner, is Memorial Park. There's a number of different projects and plans and things that are going on out there. Last night, I understand that the commissioners voted to make it a National Historic Site. There's a statue that's a part of the Big Hope Initiative program that's out there, and the project that started last June. The Doughboy statue has been something that's been hotly debated over the last few months, and refurbishment and relocation of it. There's the interface with the Henry County Saddle Club. I guess we'll start with, do Do you want us to have a county park? Is that something that you think we should have? Should the county be funding it? Because we're looking at some big financial shortcomings for the park. And, if you look at the Umbau report, we've got long-term financial issues for the park. Should we have it? Should we be, should the Smith Building continue? Should this Doughboy thing be a deal? What's your view on the park? Is it, start there and we'll have a conversation.
Well, we already have the park, and it has a lot of memorials there. I think we have to keep the park.
Okay.
It's a great place to go. I've walked through it many times. Yeah, I certainly think we should keep the park. I don't think the park has to necessarily be a real expensive thing to keep. I'm not sure the numbers on how much money it costs to keep that park open, but yeah, I'd be in favor of keeping it.
Sure. Well, I was a member of the park board for a couple of years. The park board budget's between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. An awful lot of that goes to salary, and about $100,000 actually operates the maintenance and the utilities of the structures and the buildings that are out there. I talked about this with Betsy last week. The budget for the park is roughly the same now as it was in 1992. So you don't see a lot of changes or additional revenue coming out there. So because of that, we saw the park needed a roof for the shelter house. They paid for that by selling some timber out of there, trying to help have the park pay for itself. That was somewhat controversial. And from that, we wound up with the Friends of Memorial Park, which is a private or 501c3 that's helping to pay for some of the offsetting some of the costs that are out there. But the Friends of Memorial Park has been involved with this Doughboy relocation. If you are the county commissioner, you have, I guess we heard Butch say last time that the commissioners could get involved if they wanted to with this Doughboy thing. If it's still not resolved by the time you're there, do you have an opinion? Would you leave it as it is or let the park board decide what they decide?
I really hope it's resolved before I get there, if I do get there. I have talked to both sides, several people on both sides, and I've told them all that I am going to stay neutral on it because I feel like the wind issue is the biggest issue in the county. I'm glad that Steve Peckinpah raised some money, got it fixed up. I can see the side of people say they want to keep it where it originally was, and I see the other side too. So I want to stay neutral on that. I don't want to say either way. I'm just one person right now. I hope it's resolved before I get in. I could make a decision on it if I had to, but right now I am neutral.
Okay.
I'm not even hedging. I am neutral. I've talked to veterans on both sides of it.
Well, that's an important distinction. Is that there are veterans that feel very passionately on both sides of the issue, and I think there's a number of people that just they're neutral, just like you are. They don't strongly feel either way. So that's I'm in a controversial issue already. I don't want to be in one. Is enough. Two. All right, so let's talk for a minute about appointments, because you, as a commissioner, you would have appointments to the park board, to the planning commission, to others. What sort of matrix or template do you have when you're going out finding somebody to appoint? How would you handle appointments? What are you looking for in an appointee?
Well, you just interview people. Like I said before about the sheriff, I think he's passionate about what he does. I would look for people that have the right motives for taking on responsibility like that. And sometimes it's hard to read people's motives, but I think if you ask enough questions and you hear their responses, but I'd be looking for people who are civic-minded.
A lot of times when you see these boards, you almost see automatic reappointments to people. Should people that are serving on boards now feel like, it's just going to be an automatic reappointment, or are you going to have should they be expecting changes if you have a say on some of these boards?
I like innovators. Like when even to talk about Memorial Park, there are lots of people in the county that enjoy the park. And there are ways the park could raise more money to take care of itself. And innovative people figure out innovative ways to make money.
Very good.
If you want the park, somebody has to pay for it.
You have to pay for it. Yep. It's a very fair point.
Put in a quarter, see a duck. That's the Parks and Recreation model, right?
Yeah, we should have some little duck feeders out there. Maybe some turkey feeders eventually.
Yeah. The
Well,
cemetery can monetize Eric the turkey all they want to. I think they've got some options.
That's right. It's Eric the turkey.
Eric.
I
the
thought
turkey.
it was Freebird.
No.
Well, it's on the Facebook. It's been claiming that its name is Eric.
Yep.
All right, so we're getting to that part in the show where we probably have to do final thoughts.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we're winding down. Ed, if people want to volunteer for your campaign, help you out, send more money, how do they help you out? I imagine you're still walking or have teams of people going out door to door in the county. You got 50,000 people to reach between now and May.
Yeah, it's
6th,
hard to reach them.
Or May 8th.
I try to reach them on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page and sometimes people get confused with my Facebook page and my campaign Facebook page. The one with the flag picture is my campaign Facebook page. I'd like people to try to find that.
And we've got it tagged. If you're watching here, you can click on Ed's deal so you can find his stuff is linked there.
I'm going to be writing several more things next few weeks. I get out, I knock on doors, I meet people, I meet dogs, I meet all sorts of...
We talked about that Monday. That's the thing that anybody that's run for office, you immediately look at each other and go, I've seen some mean dogs.
Yeah, the dogs. But I'm having pretty good success. When I get to talk to people, I get a lot of my signs put out. So I'm happy about that.
Very neat.
I've seen a lot of your signs coming home from work every day.
That's
I
good.
go down 234. I see them all the time. I like them.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
All right. If
They
they want
are.
to send some checks in for the Tarantino campaign, how's that work? Are you still taking money or are you full up?
Well, we probably need some for newspaper advertising. That'll be probably big in the next few weeks. So if anybody did want to send anything in, our treasurer's at Dickerson Accounting on 17th Street, and they can drop it off there, or they can give it to myself or one of my 14 campaign managers.
How in the world did you get yourself 14 campaign managers? How'd this happen?
Well, they told me to get a campaign manager, and being a school teacher, a lot of my friends are liberal Democrats, and the Republicans aren't crazy about having a liberal Democrat as a campaign manager. I did ask one. But they also work all day, so I try to do a lot of things myself, and then a lot of the people that are helping me, they work all day, so I don't like to put too much on them. A lot of people help me paint those signs you see all over the county. They gave up like 5 Saturdays in a row to paint signs.
I did see the pictures of you had a ton of people working at one time to get all the signs painted.
Where'd
That's pretty neat.
you paint all those?
We painted them at the Artistry Annex.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Well, very cool. All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and
Had a good time.
If anybody missed out on some of the audio that was here, once again the MP3 podcast you can get on iTunes. That'll be easy to go back and catch anything if we lost any of it. Chase, you got any final thoughts for us? I know you didn't really have a chance to prepare anything.
No, but I've been thinking. Okay.
All right.
Okay. If you were listening last week, you heard me give a couple options of what I'm going to do when we move the Doughboy.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Here we go again.
Our two most
Chase isn't neutral, Ed. He's pro move.
Our two most popular options were Axl Rose and Reggie Miller. Okay, I like
Not
both
Cheryl
of
Miller,
those.
Reggie Miller.
Yes, Reggie Miller, basketball player, Indiana Pacers, all-time
Even
great.
I know who Reggie Miller is.
Pretty cool, funky teeth.
That would
Anyways,
have-
I'm gonna add a new option. What's the turkey's name?
Eric the turkey.
Eric Freebird the turkey. We could get a statue of him, or we could even put him in a little cage and make it into like a petting zoo.
You're gonna put him in the new location or the old location?
Old location. That way people actually know where it's at, because most people don't.
That turkey wants to be free.
Yeah, that's free bird. You're
we
gonna
can
lock him up.
we can make a big bird pen. I'm just saying, tons of people will be at the park that way. Like 800 and something. How many likes does he have on Facebook?
I heard it's over 800 likes.
Yeah, it's
Over 800.
Like
I mean,
805, I think.
I'm just saying, you could put a concession stand right next to it. I think it'd be a great idea. I think
Sell
it'd bring
turkey legs.
the park a lot of money. So, and then other than that, I don't have any new updates about the headless chicken. I think he's still alive, so that's good news.
Thank
he's
you
going for
for
the record.
updating us on the
there we go,
poultry desk.
yeah.
All right, that's it.
All right.
All right, so for my final thoughts, I just want to say thank you to all the Patreon subscribers again. Audrey and I put out our last tinfoil time on Tuesday, and we talked about Queen Elizabeth II and whether or not she kidnaps children and is a cannibal. And you can hear that if you donate to the Patreon feed. And I think that next week is actually going to be about Melania Trump and her having a doppelganger that follows Trump around if she doesn't feel like hanging out with him. So that's next week's conspiracy theory.
I really don't understand this extra show you guys have thrown in there, but apparently people like it. So
Queen Elizabeth wasn't a cannibal?
Well, I mean, some people actually believe that.
Oh.
What we did, we set out and did all the research why people believe that and tried to prove them wrong. And
you guys determined that she's not a cannibal. She's
yes.
She's just an old lady.
Don't ruin it for them, Jared. They need to find out.
Pay the money. I actually listened to it.
And so
she would have died of some weird brain disease, is what you
it
guys
could have.
decided.
I keep trying to like skew the votes for what I want to do the show on. It never works out. People want to hear about Melania Trump for some reason. You can follow me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter at AtokadSavad. It's Dakota Davis spelled backwards. And get on that Patreon.
Very good. All right. Well, I'm fighting a little cold here, so I'm not going to keep anybody longer than we have to. I've got my deep radio voice.
I was going to say,
sexy
you look
radio
awful.
voice today. Thank you, Chase. I'm barely alive. All right. So next week, Wednesday, we're not doing a show Thursday. It's Wednesday. We'll have Ken and Gray on. He's running for County Council District 1 in the Republican primary. That's a familiar race because that's the same race I'm running for. We both are applying for the same job.
When are you coming on the show?
I don't know. I can't get scheduled. All these people are booked on here.
Can I sit over there?
You want to sit and interview me? Can you work all these controls?
No.
Yeah, it's not that hard. I can teach him.
Yeah. So Kennan's coming on. He's got an event. He was a very nice sport. We had him scheduled for Thursday of next week, and I felt terribly. 2 weeks ago, or last week, I guess it was, 2 weeks before the showtime, I get a letter in the mail from the Elks Club and said, "Hey, we're going to have your indoctrination ceremony. Please bring us a check, and you get to join." And it was the same day we were booked. So he agreed to move to Wednesday. He is having an event at Cafe Royal, another meet and greet. So I think from 5 to 7 on Wednesday, you can go down, catch him, meet him in person, then get back home and watch us on the show. So you can go meet him in person. But he was nice enough to adjust the day he was coming on. He's still going to have that, but the show's going to be a little later. We're going to do about 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in that range next week. So Appreciate everybody listening and watching. Once again, shout out to that Patreon group. Thank you guys very much. Very humbling to have you helping us out and supporting. We've come a long way. We've got our Shure device that we used our first month proceeds to pay for that. So we will have remote guests. Dakota and I messed around with that a little bit. Found out we need a couple more cables, so we're going to go back to the well and buy some more junk. We're going to get that working, and before too long, we'll have some. We're going to do some fun stuff. We're planning an election night special where we're going to send somebody down to the Republican or the Democrat headquarters, maybe Chase, and get some interviews.
Yep, I think it's
and then we're going to do an election night show. So somebody's going to be down there with a phone. We're going to talk to people. So we're going to talk to Ed. We're going to talk to Butch. Try to catch him on election night and see who we can get on the show and have a fun live program. So that's our goal. That's our first month's Patreon stuff. If we get to that $500 a month, we are looking at possibly getting some space to get a permanent studio. So we would move out of this and move into something a little bit more permanent. But we got to get the financial stability. So that's what the Patreon thing's all about. But until then, we're going to keep saving the money. And we've had a lot of people talk about wanting to do remotes and be able to work remotely. There's a couple other equipment items that we can pick up that'll let that happen. So 2 or 3 months down the road, we might have an additional recorder that lets us do a mobile studio. So we've got some options.
I have a quick idea.
Yes, sir.
You know how they have that sad dog commercial in the arms of the angels?
Yes, the ASPA.
Yes.
Humane
I
Society.
think we should make a commercial of us crying, and one of us can sing. That way it convinces people to donate.
I don't want this to sound like church where we're just banging on people. I just want people, if you can give $5, $10, help us out, kick it in. That's what keeps us going. We're not every nickel we're getting out of this is going right back into
your
the show.
paycheck.
Yeah, it's a tie.
10%.
All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.